Brought to you from Melbourne, Australia. This is the Badminton Podcast, a community for badminton players by badminton players, where we talk badminton, celebrate local heroes, interview players from all walks of life, and push you to grow as a player and a person. Introducing your hosts, Jeff and Henry.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Badminton Podcast, proudly brought to you by Volant, the brand that's offering the world versatile badminton apparel. We're here with Volant and the Badminton Podcast because we love badminton and we want to share our love for the sport with everyone in it and build our badminton community. So here today, we don't have Henry here again for this episode because unfortunately he's back in Melbourne, and we are currently at the Indonesia Masters 2020 in Jakarta. And right next to me, I have Gronya, who is going to be my co-host, and our lovely guest who Gronya is going to introduce for us.
So here today we have Kirsty, who is a Scottish badminton player currently ranked 32 in the world, but has been as high as 14. She's a double Commonwealth Games medalist and triple European silver medalist. She started playing at age 4 and lives and trains in Glasgow. She's been a full-time player since leaving school, but managed to squeeze in a degree in filmmaking and screenwriting from the University of the West of Scotland.
Trust yourself and trust your instincts. There's only so many routines you can run and techniques you can practice before it all just has to click in and become automatic. So I'd say trust your instincts. I think badminton's so great because, like I say, you could have your whole family playing it, from your tiniest little cousins to your grandma and grandpa. So whether it's a family thing or a friends thing, I think enjoy who you're doing it with.
Welcome, Kirsty.
Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah, not bad. It's been a good little day of training here in Jakarta. Getting my bearings. I say getting my bearings. I think this is maybe the 7th time I've been here or something like that. So yeah, just getting ready. It's been my first day here, so yeah, getting ready.
Yeah, and for dinner last night, you actually showed us where to go. You knew this place better than some of the locals, I think.
Oh, I don't know about that. I know the Senine Plaza and Senine City pretty well, yeah.
Yeah. So, Kirsty, thanks so much for being on the podcast with us. It's really exciting because we're going to ask you a few fun questions to start off with.
All right.
And this is just for all the people out there who don't know who Kirsty Gilmour is, this is a little bit of an insight to that. So Nothing too serious. We're going to get into the serious stuff a bit later on.
Cool.
Okay, so the first question I want to ask is, from a scale of 1 to 10, how weird would you think that you'd be?
10 being like a nutcase.
10 being completely, I think I'm the weirdest person in the world. And 1 being, I'm so normal. My face
boring.
is just blank. I'm just boring.
Hopefully no one's a 1. Jeez. See, this is the funny thing. If this was meant to be quickfire, I'm sorry, it's not going to be. When I go away to tournaments with Adam Hall, we have just evenings where I don't know what happens. We are full scale 11 on the weird factor. We just have small mental breakdowns, and the people that are around us are guys, are you okay? And we're
Those are the best though.
I don't know. But I'd say day to day, a 5 or a 6, but then it can crank up to 11 on those trips with Adam. And neither of us know why.
So why Adam?
I don't know. Oh,
They really just feed off each other.
Click and then it just gets weirder and weirder.
One person comes up with a really good pun, and then it's just the rest of the days are right off because it's going to snowball into insanity. Yeah, pretty much.
A bit of a pun fan. I don't really have any good puns. Do you have a good pun for us to start?
Oh, none off the bat, but
kind of just has to be in the moment.
Yeah, you just come up with them, and Adam is very good at them. So shout out to Adam. Hey.
Okay, what's the next one? What's your favourite quote?
Ooh, favourite quote.
Are you much of a quotes person?
I do quite like a quote, yeah. My laptop background is work hard in silence, let your results be the noise. That's quite a good one. I've got get stuff done, seeing as this is a censored podcast, I imagine.
So stuff, it's not actually stuff.
Get stuff done, which is just a nice, simple one. when you're just kind of like, you're like, you can be the busiest person in the world, but you always have time to do like the important things. So yeah, I use that one quite a lot. Those are two main ones. Pressure is a privilege as well.
Pressure is a privilege.
A good
Nice.
one. I think I want to say that's Billie Jean King, and I think that's a good one because you can use pressure however you want. You can crumble, you can fold, or you can see it as like, this pressure wouldn't be on my shoulders if I wasn't great at what I do.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why you have that pressure. So I also like that one. There's 3 for you.
Yeah, 3. We're getting more than we bargained for here. All right, so a bit of quick fire. Favorite color?
This turquoisey blue that I'm kind of kitted out in right now.
I thought that was green.
Green, blue.
Greeny, bluey kind of. Okay.
Yeah, turquoise.
Cool. Favorite song?
Oh, always come back. Well, no, I always say Paramore, Misery Business, which will always be one of my favourite songs. But like a newer one would be a band called Muna and a song called Stay Away. If you haven't heard them, they're amazing.
I haven't heard them.
I didn't think you would have.
Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
No.
No?
No.
Favorite holiday destination?
Ooh, Scotland seems like cheating, but I do love the holiday in Scotland. Canada, I would say Canada. I've got some family in Canada, and it's so big that I feel like you could go back a lot of times and see different things every time.
Cool.
Canada for winter or summer though?
I've never been in winter, so
At -30.
like the first trip after I retire is going to be skiing and maybe
nice.
in Canada, just because it's something you can't do when you're playing, because it might not even be your fault. Like someone
Yeah.
else could just career into the back of you and career over. So,
Sure. And with that, skiing or snowboarding?
oh, I'm better at skiing, but you look cooler snowboarding, so it's tricky. But
Which one's more fun to do?
I think because I'm better at skiing, I'll go skiing.
Sure. How do you have your eggs?
Scrambled on sourdough.
What's your comfort food?
Pizza probably, or there's very, very Scottish things called potato scones. They're pretty much just like potato and flour packed into kind of like a triangle, and they're terrible for you, but the best, like gooeyest food ever. So that's like a comfort breakfast food.
Yeah.
I know you love your coffee, so how do you take your coffee?
Ooh, mostly a flat white. But on occasion, or if I'm in like a specifically good coffee place, I'll always try like one of their filters just to see what it's like with no milk or anything added. So like filter or flat white.
Foods for flat white. Cool. Cats versus dogs?
I'm more of a dog person, but my dad and his partner breed cats. So I do also love cats, and there can be like, I think the most they've had in the house is like 30.
30.
Like 30. Yeah. Where like, yeah, it was because 2 or 3 cats had litters all at the same time, and they ended up with about 30 cats in the house. So I've come round to cats, but I'm going to lean dog on this one.
Yes. That's 30 too many cats for me. Pancake versus waffles?
Pancake, next question.
Winter versus summer?
Summer, because almost the whole year is winter in Scotland.
That's
It
true.
can feel like that. So I do love a bit of sunshine, and I'm very vitamin D deprived. So I need all the sun I
need the
can
sun,
get.
Mac versus PC?
Mac. I'm a convert. Mac,
Same.
but I'm also Android currently.
Oh, Android, not iOS.
Yeah.
Okay, big one.
I know.
Big change.
Yeah, I went Samsung when we got the phone in Rio. And I left my iPhone in a taxi, which pains me to talk about. So I was like forced to use that Samsung, and then I just kind of stuck with Android. But I'm not opposed to going back to Apple.
To Apple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one for the filmmaker, comedy versus horror.
Do you know, this is controversial, but genre that I quite like and is being done very well right now is like comedy horror, kind of like Ready or Not or Get Out.
Oh, yeah.
Those kind of like ones that you're like disturbed by, but then there's also laughs in there.
Yeah.
Like I quite like that genre, but I don't really like horrors. I think it's very difficult to do horror well, so I'll go comedy.
Wait, so you don't like horror because of the quality of the film, not because you'll be scared.
Yeah. And also, I'm not a huge fan of being scared. Why would you
Exactly.
pay to be terrified?
Exactly. It's entertainment. It's called entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Why would you
Some people love
entertain yourself by being absolutely...
I know, I get
it. Some people just
Crapping
don't
with
actually
that.
get scared as well.
Yeah, I get enough
Like,
adrenaline,
just
like on court and everything. Like, I don't need more of
you've
that.
got enough of that.
Yeah.
True. What languages do you speak?
English, Scottish, which is a whole other kettle of fish. Not really, but some of it's quite weird. And like very basic school French, but
Okay.
it's like okay. It's the one that I can understand the most, probably.
Okay.
And then I've picked up a little bit of Dutch. I should have picked up more Danish, but man, that's the hardest language ever. I've got a German coach now, so maybe I'll pick up some German. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what language do you wish you could speak?
I really wish I could speak sign language,
Oh, really?
but it's difficult because like you would think it was a universal like one language, but there's like American Sign Language, British Sign Language.
Is it?
Yeah,
I did
there's
not know that.
Different language
Dialects.
dialects of sign
As you'd
language,
expect,
yeah.
you'd expect there to be.
Yeah.
But then,
I know. So like,
yeah.
it's always I've always like seen people using it, and I think that would be really useful, and that would be really cool to be able to do that. And like, I have a niece who's 1, and all of one of her favorite programs is Mr. Tumble, and he speaks in Makaton. He always does Makaton, which is like a really simplified version of sign language, which I think is really really cool. It's just like a kids TV program, and they're just like learning sign language. Oh, really really cool.
yeah. Grania, what language do you wish you could speak?
Probably some European one. I think French or like Spanish sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spanish would be useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like second most
Chinese
popular
and
after
Spanish,
Chinese.
yeah.
If you could speak Chinese and Spanish, man, you could rule the world.
And English. You probably need a little bit of English in
a
there.
little bit of English.
Okay, and last question before we get into the badminton talk. If you were given $1 million and you had to spend it right away,
Yeah.
what are the things you would spend it on?
Oh, I think I would go for like one long-lasting thing and then just one like immediate enjoyment thing. So I would go for like maybe like just a ridiculous holiday. And you could probably stretch that for like a 6-month holiday.
Yeah.
Maybe like finance a film of some sort. I don't really have any ideas right now, but there's so many like badminton films coming out right now. Like
there?
there's the Chong Wei one.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Suzy Santu one. Sina. There's a Sina one. Maybe a Sindhu one.
Yeah, I think
I think there's maybe a Sindhu one too.
Yeah.
So there's like lots of cool badminton films coming out. So like maybe something along that line.
Okay, so it could be badminton related.
It could be. It might not necessarily
Okay.
be. Yeah. But do you guys get like quite excited when someone mentions badminton or there's anything to do with badminton in like a film or a TV program?
Yeah,
Like,
it's cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's- because it's never there. It's never there.
Oh, I mean, a lot of the time it's like the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh my god, but that's us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
us.
We do.
That's us.
Yeah.
Now, being from the UK, did you ever watch The In-Betweeners? It's probably a stupid question.
Yeah.
But in the first season of In-Betweeners, they talk about badminton.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot.
If anyone knows In-Betweeners, Neil's dad goes out to play badminton,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a euphemism for something that's not very pleasant.
Yeah.
But that's how it's often related.
Pretty much, yeah. Or it's like, yeah, it's seen as like the worst sport, and you just want to like stop the film and just be like, no, listen, I want to explain why it's not.
It's
You
not
wanna, like,
actually that
justify-
way. Yeah.
Definitely.
And when you said ridiculous holiday, what is ridiculous?
Island hop round like Fiji, Seychelles, Maldives, Mauritius, like those kind of once in a lifetime places.
Like 5-star resorts, business
5-star
class
resorts, yeah.
flights.
But
And-
try and do it eco-friendly as well. So
Yeah.
like not private jets
Yeah.
and stuff. You can maybe like do like a really cool backpacking, but in 5-star accommodation, not hostels.
Yeah. So would it be a chill holiday or going out bungee jumping and scuba diving and
I like a bit of both. My
Yeah.
capacity to lie still for a long period of time is quite good. Yeah, I can do that pretty well.
I thought you were going to say not very good. Like, no, it's pretty good.
Well, like,
I'm pretty good at that.
Sometimes I think I'm not, and then I compare myself to like other people who literally can't sit still, and I'm like, oh no, I totally can't.
I can actually sit still.
Yeah, I can sit on my butt for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, Kirsty, so we know a little bit more about you now outside badminton. Let's delve right into the badminton game. Now, so you started playing when you were, was it 4?
Like 4, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad was a national junior coach.
Oh, that's why.
So I think I've hit up, most of the sports centres in the central belt of Scotland, because he would just have coaching in different areas every night of the week, and we'd pretty much just go with him. Like, I started just taking my football with me, and then eventually I started actually playing badminton.
Yeah.
But yeah, since I've probably held a racket since I was about 4. Yeah.
About 4.
Yeah, I've been 22 years in this game, which is a shocking fact.
You had an 8-year head start on me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
8 year?
Yeah.
You had,
Some people are like,
6 year.
oh, I didn't start until I was like 12, and I'm like, what? Like, I'd been playing for so long.
I would have smashed you.
I would have smashed you when we were 8.
I mean, maybe.
So from there, what's your badminton journey been like? What are the main things that have happened?
I think I've had like a pretty standard badminton journey. Like, it's not been hugely controversial or anything. So I started like with my dad and things, and I used to do gymnastics and football as well. All when I was a kid. Tried my hand at karate. Very bored with that. And then I went to high school, and I chose to go to the Glasgow School of Sport. So there you specialise in one of 5 sports. So it's either badminton, swimming, athletics, hockey, or gymnastics. So I obviously was badminton, and it means that when you start doing your exams, all the normal school, as we would call it, all the
normies.
So it's attached.
All the muggles.
Yeah, all the muggles. The muggles would do 8 exams, and we would do 6. So it's attached to. You can go to Bellahouston Academy without going to the School of Sport.
Yeah.
Or if you go to the School of Sport, you also go to Bellahouston Academy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they did 8 exams, and we did 6. And then when you do your final exams, normal school people would do 5. We did 3. So for those extra that extra time, we would just train. And then I started in a thing called the Junior High Performance Squad, which was like a few evenings a week through Badminton Scotland. And then I finished school, and I went to university straight away, because I was like, if I don't go straight away, I'm not going to go. If I take a year out, if I take a gap year, then I'm not going to go back. So I just went straight away, balanced that between like national squad training, and finished a 3-year degree in 4 years, because I did part-time. And then, just continued training with the national team. Yeah, that's the whole journey.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, so 22 years later, You're still playing the sport. There must be something that kept you in it. What do you love about the sport, and why are you still here? Why are you still playing when it's been that long?
Yeah,
are you bored yet?
That's a good question. No, I don't think boredom, because I think badminton comes in like so many cycles. And there's constantly new people pushing up through the rankings. There's always new people to play. So I don't think you can really ever get bored of the competing part. But I think it's the traveling and the day-to-day is hard. It's difficult. And it's difficult to do by myself, which a lot of the trips are. Just the nature of where Scottish badminton is right now. We've got some people kind of pushing up the rankings, and hopefully they can start coming on these trips with me, which would be nice. But yeah, no, what keeps me playing, I think it's the anticipation and the knowing that you are capable, what you're capable of. Whether you can necessarily go out and do that is another matter, but just having that this could be the tournament that sets it all off. And it's a tricky one, because I've felt that so many times, and I've a few times managed to keep the ball rolling on that momentum of winning, but then I've had a few setbacks. I've had a knee operation and things, which makes you drop down the ranking. You have to find that momentum all over again. But yeah, probably just the winning and the anticipation of the next tournament, because I love the day when the draw comes out and you're just like, oh my god, like who am I going to play? It's the playing, I'd say.
It's the
like,
playing,
the actual competing. I love it.
Okay, that's interesting, because when we ask that question, a lot of people talk about either the sport itself, so they love how, which you probably do as well, but the first thing I usually say is I love that it's power, it's speed, it's skill, it's fitness, it's everything. It's so we were watching the aerial skiers yesterday. Kirsty, you remember?
No,
who was that?
T.
Oh no, I thought you were there at that time. No. And you were like, imagine just doing that every single day.
Oh yeah,
it was, right?
Yeah,
and
it
you're
was
thinking
the ski jumps.
It was like you just do that every single day.
Imagine
and you just jump the same jump every day.
One like closed skill, like to go down a hill and jump. And don't get me wrong, the adrenaline athletes, that you must get from that, it must be amazing. But yeah, like we were saying, like our sport just encapsulates, like badminton encapsulates every aspect of fitness. I think it's endurance, but it's also anaerobic, and it's also speed mixed with power, but you can't give up too much agility. And then you've got the control, you've got not getting injured in amongst all of that, and then you've got the tactical sides of it, and the shot quality part. You can be the best tactician in the world, but if you have terrible shot quality, then you're not going to be very good. No
tactics on earth will save you from poor shot quality.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I'm a huge believer in it's not how you do it, it's like what you're doing. Or is it the other way around? No, it's what you're doing. It's not.
It's what you're doing. It's not how you're doing it.
Yeah. I think technique and stuff is important, but I think everyone's technique is different. So I think if you're really breaking down into like the tiny minutiae of a certain movement, I think it's more about the shot quality and finding the best way for you.
Yeah.
Like it could be a very unorthodox technique, but if you're hitting a great shot off of it, I don't really think it matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were talking about the other day with Marion's overhead, how it's pretty unorthodox compared to like a lot of the other players at the moment. And then we were just saying like, wow, that's like the steepest shot, like the angle she's getting on that, the snap, and like she's still able to play like the reverse
from that
the
grip.
reverse even though
so absolutely that kind of thing. I always think that about like Momota's defense. Obviously he's a lefty, and the textbooks would say to have like a neutral racket position, like somewhere in front of you so you can see your racket. His wrist is on his hip.
Yeah, by his side.
It's by his side, and like that just works for him. So I think there's so much creativity in amongst it. So I guess that is another good answer.
Yeah.
That can be my second answer. Just the creativity that you can have within this sport is quite unique.
I haven't actually thought of it that way, because a lot of people talk about how important certain techniques are, and this is the right technique, this is the wrong technique. But at the end of the day, the tester as to whether it's the right or wrong is just the shot quality.
Yeah.
It's not really about the technique itself.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people try to fix technique and try to make it look a certain way, which it needs to look a certain type of way in order for it to work.
Yeah, there's like an efficient way to do something. I say if it's not producing the right results, then find a way that works best for you, and then that becomes your most efficient way.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing our older coach kind of always talked to us about was that he thought technique was very specific to kind of like how your body worked and the way it like moved and what you were like physically capable of, and he always advised us to find someone who had a similar body type and like see how they did stuff, because you can't try and copy someone who's tiny or like just like has a totally different composition to you.
Definitely, like Okuhara's not going to have the same technique as Sindhu.
Exactly.
They can go toe to toe and play an hour and 51-minute match. Like that's incredible. And like you say, like the way everyone does things is different, is so individual. Like some people walk with their feet out, some people walk with their feet in, so like you're not going to be able to change that, and that's going to relate into how they play on court. So it's all very individualistic. What a word.
And that's what's great compared to other sports where you have gymnasts that are all kind of that same height, they all have that same like strong composition, or like marathon runners that are all tiny and can like so skinny and that kind of thing, whereas us, we have huge people, tiny people. Yeah,
that's always like my selling point for badminton, for like beginners. It's like anyone can play, like anyone, like tennis typically tall to get that serve, quite broad upper body to get that power. But in badminton, you could be 6, you could be 96, and you can still have some sort of a game. And especially like you're closer to each other than on a tennis court. It's basically just bashing tennis.
I love this. I love tennis.
my selling pitch is pretty much just like, it's better than tennis. The shuttle stays where it falls. You don't have to chase after it.
Yeah. There's no ball boys.
You don't have to, hire ball boys. So yeah, you can be any shape or size, and I think that's like pretty unique. I mean, there are certain attributes that are
beneficial.
Yeah, that's right. But some people, you're like, you would never be a good player, and then suddenly they're incredible.
Yeah. Even people where, there's players that are obviously less fit than others, but they make up for it in other ways. Like maybe they have a crazy jump out of nowhere, or they're like just so skillful, or can just like purely read the game.
Yeah.
You can just make up for all these kind of areas that you might be lacking in other ways. Whereas some sports, when it's just brute, like speed or something, it's like you just that's the one thing you got to do, and you have to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can kind of like not hide weaknesses, but like that's just not something that you're going to rely on. Like I'd probably always come back to like my physical abilities are my strengths, whereas I could, if I could steal some Indonesian skills, that would be amazing. So I work on my skills because fitness comes like quite naturally to me. So yeah, and it's different for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And still on this topic of badminton and your badminton career, what would you say, out of all the things that you've been through, so starting off at a really young age, playing as you grew up with your dad as the national junior coach, having a knee injury, being as high as number 14 in the world, Commonwealth Games medals, European Games medals, what would you say would be the lessons that you have learned? So what's maybe the biggest lesson or life teaching? It doesn't have to be related to badminton directly, but what would you say is that badminton has really taught you?
Badminton has taught me being a singles player. This might sound like a strange one, but that you can't do it by yourself. Then you're going to need a team around you, and if they're not a sports specific team, you're gonna need like your friends and your family and people on tour and stuff. So I think you can't do it alone. You can't do anything alone. Really has been a big one, and it's probably a big lesson that I've learned maybe like the last 2 or 3 years, because I've found that every time I've done like really well under pressure, it's been when I've had a coach and another support staff, normally from the Scottish Institute of Sport. So if I look back at all the instances, like the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, all the Europeans, the 3 Europeans, the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, they've all been when I've had like a coach and then been able to have like direct access to physio, direct access to sports psychologists, doctors. There's always just been like a little team around it with one goal in mind. And when you're all like focusing on one thing, and I think that's really cool, rather than trying to or a lot of my tournaments, like I'm at this one alone, like no coach, no other players. It's really difficult to set your own schedule, keep on top of yourself in the gym, and just organise everything yourself. It's nice for that to be taken care of, and it's like just performance, focused, just performance orientated. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last few years.
Yeah. That brings to mind a quote. Like we were talking about quotes at the start that I really like. And it goes, you've probably heard of it. It goes like this. It goes, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together or go with the team. Which it doesn't mean you can't go far by yourself. It's just a lot of hard work. And it doesn't mean you can't go fast as a team. But usually to get people on board, it's takes a bit longer than actually just doing everything by yourself.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it's a really difficult one, because like at a tournament like this, I find myself being the player, but also the manager. And kind of a bit of the coach, because I'm trying to think of what I want to work on in this specific training session, rather than someone just telling me, or like figuring it out together. That's another really good part. The coaches I've had recently, or I think it's more that like as I've grown up, I've gotten better at saying what I think.
And what you need.
And what I need, and knowing that as well. But I've been quite lucky in the coaches that I've had in the last few years, and I've had a lot of coaches, guys. The turnover has been high. But as I've gotten older, my coaching setups have become more collaborative, and it's been less telling and more like figuring out and like sitting down and kind of talking through different goals in different areas for like technical, tactical, physical, mental, and then the performance goals. Those are the kind of ones that we work through. But really trying to like sit down and be like, right, okay, what do we want to get out of this tournament, this training session, or this training block, and kind of working that way. I found that to be really, really nice over the last few years, and to be like heard more and respected more. I found it really difficult when I was like 19, 20, 21 to kind of like walk into an office and be like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And now I just kind of get to start fresh with a coach and be like, right, okay, how do you work? This is how I work. How are we going to work together?
Yeah.
Let's not one of us compromise so much and the other one just leads the way. Let's kind of, work it more as a collaboration.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, Kirsty, coming back to being a singles player and having a team around you, then you come to tournaments like this one and you're by yourself. And look, you're hanging around with us, you're hanging around with a lot of different other teams and training with the other teams as well. But it can get quite lonely, might be a little bit of a negative word, but it can get a little bit lonely and isolated. I know how you feel, because when I was traveling and training, I was doing a lot by myself. I remember I was training in Denmark and I was living by myself. I went to the training center, there was people there. But then when one of the coaches actually came over a few weeks later, it was amazing. It was like, holy crap, I have someone to actually talk to now. Yeah. And I was literally going insane because I just had no one around me. Which brings up my next question, and it's what we've talked about in the past as well, and it just relates to a bit of the mentality and the mental health around this kind of thing, because you're in such high demanding environments. So you have to compete, you have to keep yourself injury free, you have to train, you have to know what's right for you. You need to be the manager, the coach, the player, especially when you are by yourself. How does that take its toll emotionally?
It's difficult. You're doing all these things by yourself, and you go to the training centres, you go to the training sessions, and then you chat away to everyone, you work together, and then you go home and you go back to your hotel or your apartment, and then it's just you. Yeah. It's just it's like it's the highs and the lows of socializing, I think, that is hard for me, because when everyone's together it's so buzzy and so intense and everyone has a lot of fun, and then most people, I would say, share rooms with others from their countries or whatever, but then a lot of the time I'll go back to my hotel room and it's quiet. So I do find that really difficult. And lonely's not too far off the truth, to be honest. I just spoke about like having a sports psychologist, but I'd say probably maybe the middle of last year, I found that I was like kind of talking about and addressing issues like off the court too much with my sports psychologist, who I would tell everything to, like, Simon is incredible, but I felt like we weren't really spending enough time on the like on-court stuff and like how to get into the zone for matches. It was kind of like dealing with the off-court things, the life things. So now I have like Simon for sports psychology, and then I have another woman like for more clinical psychology that I see not so regularly, probably like once a month or something. But it's just really nice to be able to, like, when you're just not okay, and for someone to just like listen to, because I find it quite hard to kind of put that all on my friends all the time. I feel like I don't want to just like be moaning all the time. Yeah. Because like, I mean, it is the vast majority of the time where like I'll go to tournaments by myself, and last year was pretty hard. But now I've found like a really good, nice flow with I share with Mia Blickfeld from Denmark a lot of the time, and that's we have a lot of fun when we share rooms, so that's really nice actually.
I can attest to that.
Yeah,
you've been part of that.
I've been part of that sometimes. I just walk in, I'm like, what is going on here?
This is deep.
They're just like, don't worry.
Well, like me coming back to the first question, how weird am I? Mia often stops me and is like, Kirsty, you're so weird. And I'm like, yeah, but so are you, but like in a different way. We're weird in different ways. But yeah, it is difficult to do by yourself. So I'm really glad that I've got someone to just kind of offload, and the intensity and the socializing, and also the intensity of like an arena and like everyone watching you, and then especially when it's like in Asia, and especially maybe here in the Astoria, and then you kind of go home and you're just Kirsty again.
Yeah.
When there's like people screaming your name and stuff in the Astoria Nine, and then you just go home back to Scotstoun, and it's just like
quiet.
The come down is quite a lot. So I find it goes in like patches of intensity, and I do struggle with that sometimes, and also kind of patches of like never really feeling like you have a base, or you can't get into like any sort of routine when you go home, because you're just going to leave again in 10 days. And you must struggle with that too, because Australia is so far away from everything. We have some tournaments in Europe, but you have to do like a long haul every single time pretty much for every tournament. So that must be tough for you as well.
I like the fact that, thanks for being open about having a sports psychologist and then having another psychologist on the other side to help with life stuff, because I think it's something that the world is a lot more aware of now about mental health, but it's not really something that is addressed a lot in badminton itself. I think it hasn't matured quite to a stage there.
Yeah, I think there's some athletes that have come out and said, and kind of spoken quite openly about mental health in like athletics and maybe like cycling and swimming and sports like that. But I would say kind of like in team sports and in badminton, it's not hugely touched upon specifically, really, that I've noticed. I had really good chats with Sean Casey, who works with Victor Axelson, his kind of S&C nutrition guy, and he's spoken a lot. He kind of has this like a series on his Instagram about like anxiety and the things that he's faced, which is really, really, really interesting. So I've chatted a lot with him about it. But yeah, it's just like you don't know what other people are going through until like you see it. And I think in sport specifically, because you don't want to show any signs of weakness. I think that's such a big part of it. Like even down to like stupid things like having beige coloured tape. You're like, no one knows I'm injured, but you're covered in tape.
They can still see it. It's the beige.
But it's beige. Because you don't want your opponent you don't want to give them an inch, because they're going to take a mile. So like I think people are quite wary about opening up until maybe like after their career. But I think just, no matter how much you're struggling off court or any like difficulties you have off court, doesn't change your potential on court. I think even if I've been having like the worst time off court, and I've played some of my best badminton because it's been a total distraction. And it's been like, you can just put 4 walls up around the court and you're like, the world does not exist for this hour. And you can just like, it also almost makes me focus more, because I'm like, okay, if I'm not thinking about badminton, I know what I will be thinking about, so I'm gonna be thinking about badminton. And it's
I
just
kind
like,
of have that with like sickness as well. Like if I'm feeling sick or something, then I'm like, okay, like I have to like be all switched on, otherwise I have no chance. Like I feel like shit, I just have to like play my absolute best, and sometimes I play like so much better because of it.
It's like an extra motivator almost. Yeah, definitely.
Like overcompensate for it.
You do overcompensate. And I actually quite like feeling average in a warm-up, because then you go on court and you're like, okay, I'm not feeling great, so we're gonna go extra hard. Whereas if you're like warming up and you're like, I feel quite good. And you get like cocky about it, and then you go on court and they come at you a million miles an hour and you're like, oh, I don't feel good anymore. So yeah, I like feeling stressed.
Yeah.
I overcompensate for it.
Yeah.
Another thing I feel is that because badminton is so Asian dominated, I feel like mental health is just way overlooked kind of throughout Asia, especially like within badminton, where the players are kind of just treated as if, I don't know, they're more just like kind of machines a bit. It's
a rotating door. Like if you're not good enough,
it's like if you're not up to it, you're not going to cut it, and like you've just got to be there.
I think that's something we probably take for granted in Australia and Europe. The fact that I talk about like being quite collaborative with coaches, and that also comes down to like saying, oh, I'm not okay today, or I fill out a training diary every single day and it's like sleep hours, how well you slept, how motivated you are that day, and like I've been filling it out every day for the last 2.5 years, like every day. If you don't fill it out, you have to do cals on the assault bike, so like I'm gonna be filling that out every day. So yeah, I don't want to make any judgments, but I don't feel like is afforded to some Asian players or countries. But if we're leading the way on that kind of thing, that maybe they will take it into account more than they do now, which can only be a good thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that even, say, fans or people watching, they might not even know what people go through, because all they see is the jump smashes, the high performance, and all they see is the crowds cheering for them, yelling for them, the prize money they get, the sponsors they get, all of the press conferences, and they don't really see what's actually past it.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like so much that I'm also an advocate of having like a private life. I'm like, there is maybe only so much that you would want to share, but I think if you're going to be in a sport like badminton, the community's quite intimate. Like fans can get to know players quite well, and I think everyone's pretty good on social media, and you do little bits of your personality come out, and I think you can't just share the perfect amazing parts, no matter how much we would want to. That's not to say that you have to like share every tiny detail of what you're going through with everyone, but I think it's no bad thing to just be like, okay, I get to go out and compete in front of millions of people, and I love doing it, but I think you can also be quite honest about how hard it is as well.
Bit of vulnerability potentially.
A little bit, yeah, but then people are so afraid to do that because we don't want to show weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a vicious cycle.
It is.
I don't really have the answer to that, to be honest.
I always relate it back to, say, dentistry being my profession as well. That a lot of people will only come for their appointments when they're in pain or when there's something wrong, something that's happening. But we recommend just the regular checkups to get things right, or to pick things up before they do it.
Such a good way to think about it.
But if you think about mental health, it just becomes more like, hey, you only go if there's a problem.
Yeah.
And if you go for any other reason, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Not someone going for their regular checkups for a dentist, you don't say, hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you going for your checkups? But for mental health, it's completely different.
Definitely. There was a English comedian, James Acaster, who was on a radio programme, and he was kind of talking about he'd had a really tough year and he'd kind of been drinking and not sleeping very well and stuff like that. And one of the guys on the panel was like, really, it was that bad? And he was like, yeah, it was that bad. And I feel like especially men aren't really allowed to say that, or they're not encouraged to say that. And then he goes on to say, like, he goes to counselling or therapy even when he doesn't need to, or it shouldn't need to get that bad before you go to see someone.
Yeah.
Like, even just to chat with a friend could be like the first step. It doesn't necessarily need to be, therapy or counselling. But yeah, it's like a good start, and just don't bottle things up, guys. Just don't bottle things up.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Next tattoo.
Don't bottle. Actually, that band Muna that I was talking about earlier, I just went to see them in concert, and they've got a song called It's Gonna Be Okay, Baby. And I feel like that's maybe going to be my next tattoo. Like, it's going to be okay.
Nice.
Because I feel like it's always okay. Like, no matter how bad things get, like, it's going to be okay.
Mm.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah. Next tattoo.
So moving on from badminton, when was it that you kind of realised that you wanted to go to film school? Was it, you just like watched the most amazing film and you were like, that's what I want to do? Or how did it happen?
I have a bit of like, when I get into something, I like kind of become obsessed with it. So I think one of the first things I remember getting really obsessed with was like the first Harry Potter. And I mean, I'm talking VHS, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I have watched it 30 plus times.
I'm pretty sure I can quote it all.
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
We should watch it and just quote it.
We should. We would drive everyone crazy.
Yeah, it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not cool. No one wants to sit with someone that knows the whole film. But hey,
It's when Guardian
I'm that guy.
Leviosa.
Oh god. So I used to just watch that on a loop, and not for like the filmmaking or anything, but just as I got older, I realized that films were like the only thing that I was like really interested in outside of badminton. I just could not see myself like doing economics or business or anything highly academic, really. I was okay in school. Like I was fine at high school. An A, 4 B's and a C. Like it's fine. I wasn't like a genius or anything. But I just thought I need to study something that I like, or else I really don't care. I either like love something or I just really don't care. So yeah, I kind of sacrificed convenience and geography for film school, or like UWS, because University of the West of Scotland, they have a few different campuses on the west of Scotland, and I went to the Ayr campus, which is on the coast, which is about a 50-minute drive, which in Scottish terms is like real long. Yeah. I mean,
that's like my everyday to training.
Yeah. For you guys, that's like nothing, but that's almost like across the country for us. So yeah, I was kind of bouncing between training and Ayr for university, but I knew I would have to study something that I really liked. So yeah.
Great. All right, Kirsty. So just wrapping up here, we've had a bit of a discussion about a few different things. And usually what we ask at the end from all of our guests is to give a little bit of advice or some words of wisdom potentially for all the listeners out there, whether they be aspiring professional players, club players, they don't play much at all, they just watch and listen to the podcast. What would you say would be a good takeaway, you think, from this episode?
Ooh, I think you won't love it unless you're with people that you enjoy being around. So I'd say make sure you have some sort of a community around it, whether that's performance orientated or just like fun orientated. I think badminton's so great for that, because like I say, like you could have your whole family playing it, from like your tiniest little cousins to your grandma and grandpa. So whether it's a family thing or a friends thing, I think enjoy who you're doing it with. In a more like professional capacity, I think like find what you like, how you play best, and then just stick with that and trust it. I think a big thing for me in the last 4 or 5 years, and the last 4 or 5 coaches, has been like, one thing that I do very well is take instruction. And now it's come to the point where I'm having to make decisions, but I've got 4 or 5 different options of how to do a thing, and I'm a bit mixed up. So I'm trying to, like, right now I'm trying to get back to what makes me on a badminton court. I'm trying to get back there and then just like elevate it. So I think, yeah, just trust yourself and trust your instincts. Like, there's only so many routines you can run and techniques you can practice before it all just has to click in and become automatic. So I'd say, like, trust your instincts. And because you're not going to have much else when the shuttle's traveling 100 miles an hour at your face. So yeah, trust your instincts.
Awesome. And if the audience wants to keep track of your progress, especially your plans now, so in terms of badminton, where you see it taking you, how could they basically follow you or see how you're doing?
They can follow me on all the usual social media platforms. I think Facebook, it's like K Gilmour Badminton. Instagram, it's Kirsty Gilmour with an extra R on the end, because
who took the other one?
Because the other Kirsty Gilmour has the regular one. Yeah. And the same on Twitter, Kirsty Gilmour with an extra R on the end. Sure. I think there is a Kirsty Gilmour that got inundated like at Commonwealth Games and stuff with
really? With just like all the tags. Like, who is this person? Yeah. What is this sport?
So sorry, the real Kirsty Gilmour, but this imposter has been taking over your social medias. Yeah, mostly I'm probably most active on Instagram, so that would be the place to go.
Yep. And with that, sorry, Kirsty, what can we expect to be seeing from you down the track?
Right now, it's just Olympic qualification, so that's up until April. I think the European Champs is maybe the last event. If that could be lies, but no, I think that's right.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think that's
After
right.
Singapore.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, and then it'll just be trying to fight for seedings for the Olympics up until end of July, and then it'll be the Olympic Games, hopefully all going smoothly. And I mean, I've not really planned my life after that. The minute that last shuttle drops on the floor at Tokyo, should I qualify, I mean, I'm not going to know what to do with myself. It's going to be a little bit of a holiday, I imagine, and then probably back to it and looking.
The badminton film?
Maybe. I don't know if I'll take that big a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it'll be, we're all quite lucky that we're in the Commonwealth, so we've always got like something
Every 2 years. It makes a huge difference.
It really
doesn't
does. Like, I can't imagine not having the Commonwealths as like an in-between Olympics. Imagine you were just every 4 years and like you had to get your head around a 4-year cycle. We've got such a nice like stepping stone in between all of that. So yeah, my attention will turn to 2022 Commonwealth Games, which is in exotic Birmingham. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All England Hall?
Yeah, probably. Most probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. So yeah, more badminton. If you follow me on the medias, badminton and very cute niece pictures. If you're into cute babies,
Can't ask for more.
coffee, foods, all those good things.
Cool. And a new tattoo.
I'm probably. There's always going to be a new tattoo somewhere. Yeah.
Sure. So from everyone here at the Badminton Podcast, thanks so much for tuning in, and really hope you've enjoyed getting to know Kirsty better, because I definitely know you a lot better just after this conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to keep getting guests on like Kirsty from the professional badminton scene, as well as club level, social level, because everyone's important. We love everyone because we all love badminton, and that's the main thing. And as Kirsty was saying, it is about the community and the people you hang out with that's really, really important. And that's the reason why we have this podcast, is so that we can have a group of people that loves badminton, shares the same interest, and just has a really good sense of belonging, because everyone wants to belong and no one wants to be alone and by themselves, especially in a sport that is very underappreciated. And we just want the world to know how incredible our sport is, because it's actually awesome.
Like when you stop and think about it, it really is.
It's actually, sometimes I'm just watching and my mind's just blown, and I'm just like, what is this? Why are they so good? And then people just think I'm crazy. But that's my 10 out of 10 weirdness.
Yeah,
from a kind of like a normal non-badminton person. Like, what is that sport? I play that in the backyard.
Yeah, that's where your weirdness comes in.
Yeah.
You're geeking out about badminton.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. And if you'd like to contact me also, I'm just Grania Somerville on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
And if you want to get in contact with us at the Badminton Podcast and Volant, you can follow us on our social media. That is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We're on TikTok. We're on TikTok. We don't have much out there.
TikTok?
Yeah, Kirsty's favourite is TikTok.
I've recently become a little bit obsessed, and it's terrible.
Our handle is Volantwear, VOLANTWEAR, or you can contact us via our website, www.volantwear.com. And the Badminton Podcast on Instagram, no spaces, is the handle. Make sure you share these podcasts with people that you think would like it, and make sure that you keep playing badminton, because it's a sport to be playing. Thanks, Kirsty.
Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Volant, the most versatile badminton apparel you'll ever own.